What's up, weebs? Welcome back to Anime Lane. As always, I am your host, Notorious. Joining me once again today is Shaun.
Wow.
And Melina.
What is up, a party?
You would think I would remember at this point.
Every single time I look at you, and the second I begin, you're like, oh my god.
Despair.
Party's jump scare.
Yeah. Potties be coming at you.
Halloween ain't dead.
Welcome to this episode of Anime Lane.
What are we talking about?
It's another VTuber files
Number
episode.
5?
Number 4, because the last one was 3.5.
Oh.
We're not containing the 0.5, right?
No.
Okay.
So 0.5's kind of come about where like the episode either doesn't start as a VTuber file episode or it doesn't fully persist as one.
Okay.
Like we kind of went in a different direction later on with the last episode. So I was like, yeah, I'll do a 0.5, but I also don't want to do a 0.75 either. So,
Fair.
So yeah, this is episode 4 of VTuber files. This is a farewell to Amy, because as of recording,
She's been gone.
she's been gone for like a month now.
a few weeks.
Almost, yeah, 3 weeks. 23rd of October. Yeah, she graduated. Can't even say that.
No, it's not graduation.
She moved on.
She's
Dead.
disappeared for a while.
Yeah, her last stream was on September 30th.
That we will explain this.
Okay,
don't
fair.
worry.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Because you look very confused over
Yes.
there. Like,
Yeah. Like, well,
It's another reason
Possibly.
why I think it's worth doing this episode, because it can be educational.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, she stopped streaming September 30th. I think membership stuff ends on the 31st of this month.
okay.
Don't know what'll happen to that content.
Yeah.
Slightly concerned, but then I know the Hololive fandom will have her backs on that. They'll
Yeah.
make sure
Let
it's
you know.
saved.
There will be backups.
There'll be backups. But yeah, it's an interesting situation. It's sort of uncharted territory.
Yeah.
now.
The Ame way.
The Ame way. So normally when it comes to VTubers,
Do you want to give a background on Ame, just in case? Or?
we'll get to that. I
Okay.
think I want to explain the weird situation of this. So we've kind of talked about some of this in the past, where there's graduation and there's termination.
Yeah.
The two distinct ways of a VTuber ending their career as that character, so to speak, or persona. We'll go with persona.
It's very much the difference between being fired and resigning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So graduation is usually some mutual understanding of the person behind the persona wants to leave to do something else, and so they leave on goodwill.
Can it be like contract ending as well?
Yeah, I would assume some of them's down to contract ending.
Like, we're just, regardless of whose side is like, I don't want to renew
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That is still amicable ways.
Yeah, that's happened before as well. in real
Yeah,
life.
I would point to Sana. I think in the end ran out the contract and just graduated when it was over. And then Vesper and Magni also did the same thing. Although they stopped streaming for like 2 months, and then it was announced like a month before they were graduating that they were graduating, and it was like August 31st. So the assumption is their contracts just were up because they debuted around that time.
They just didn't negotiate like a renewal.
I think they both wanted out, given that they hadn't streamed in however long,
Yeah.
and Vesper had just dropped off the face of the earth for a while, and then randomly came back. Not as Vesper, want to add. But yeah, so you have stuff like that where they'll either run the contract out, not renew, or they'll decide to leave prior to contract. There's probably ways out of the contract, and I'm sure talents have done that previously. I don't know, because that's obviously stuff that we're never gonna find out about. That's all NDA.
contract.
Yeah.
Termination usually means you fucked up royally.
Yeah.
And you
We've
are
discussed a little
Yeah,
bit.
we've discussed
Yes.
more instances than one.
We have a whole episode where one of them was the focus of it, where it was like a sort of wrongful termination in the end, I suppose. But we kind of went into, I think, some examples of termination at that point as well, so people can go back and listen to that. Not that it needs any more views. It's already one of the more popular videos on the channel.
If you can't seem to find it, it's one of the highly viewed ones, and it's got a burning gura. Even though she wasn't the one that was the subject.
No, that is our perspective on that. So and this time, it's neither.
Yeah.
They've not given it a term.
No.
Which is why it makes discussing it so difficult.
I've been in my head calling it a graduation light.
It's very much a soft graduation.
Yeah.
So normally with a graduation, what that comes with is that whole character is just like sort of forgotten about
or retired.
Or retired. Yeah. They're locked in the memory hole, I think is the best way to put it. There's no merch. There's no new stuff comes from that character. Yeah. They sort of just go on like that person didn't exist after a while.
Okay.
Like canonically, they were a season 1 character, but no one talks about season 1. That's what happened with Sana.
Yes, because I think that did they end up cancelling her Big Small plushie in the end? I can't remember. But usually it'll just be like the last dregs of what her merch were announced before they left it. Yeah, anyway. This time that's not happening.
No.
The character's still going to be present within stuff. They may come back for songs or performances. They may have new merch. The character's not retired, so to speak. They're now an affiliate. Which just currently in the industry doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
We don't have a precedent for what that means for this person. But they've ceased activities essentially. They don't stream. They don't post on their social media account now, because that's all things that are owned by Cover. So they no longer have access.
Yeah.
The actual person is now basically off to do their own thing.
Yes. Which I'm sure, if you're like me, they ended up coming across your For You page on Twitter anyway. Just immediately. I had a morning where I looked at a tweet and went, who's... Oh!
It's funny when that happens, when you just sort of accidentally find the other alter ego.
It's funny this happened like every time that someone's like graduated or been terminated. It's like almost immediately into my For You page is like, here's where they are now.
Well, because I'm assuming that that's going to be because some internet sleuths
100%.
have found it, and then everyone starts liking it, engagement, and then it's like, there you go.
Yep,
exactly. That's more engagement.
Yes.
That's basically what happened to me with in the last year, Doki, when that whole situation was happening and Mint made. I knew, like, I didn't know they were them at first, but like the moment I just got like recommended them randomly, and I was like, okay, who are you? And then I heard well, with Doki I had a bit more foresight because of that whole situation, but with Mint, I had no idea who she was. Clicked on it, heard the voice, I was like, this sounds strangely familiar.
Yeah.
And then I went to the comments and said, oh, it's Palmer.
It's so funny because for Mint Maid, it wasn't Mint Maid that got recommended to me. It was one of her other accounts that they use as like a personal, they don't do any streaming or anything like that. It's just like a personal place to post stuff.
Okay.
And at the time when I was following that, they were like, I probably won't come back to streaming for a while. I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to study. And then someone sent me a Mint Maid clip and I went, is that? When did they?
Yes.
So I was confused. It took me a while to find out that's who Mint Maid was. But yeah, anyway, it's a weird situation.
Yeah, we're in a sort of limbo right now. Because have we straight out said it's Ames at this point? Like we have.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I said it's Ames.
Okay, so Ames officially still exists. Like they acknowledge her existence. She's not like disappearing like Sana, where no one really, even if they're still in contact, which I suspect some of them still
100%.
are. Like Sana's never really mentioned or anything, and like
they formed a whole new unit as well, which basically disregards her existence.
Yeah, she's been replaced. Well, it's funny saying she's got replaced by Iris, seeing as Iris came first.
Yeah, but
yeah,
for all intents and purposes, basically,
she basically took up that spot. And Sana's basically never been, outside of maybe occasional memories, because she got mentioned like in the myth sort of final stream collab, because they came across one of her creations and couldn't really not acknowledge her.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, Sana doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
But Ame is allowed to exist, basically.
Yeah, it's really weird because we don't really have any clarification on like what any of this means yet. And I don't know when we will, really. It'll just be a case of like, oh, yeah, okay, they're showing up in this thing. I have a feeling it'll probably be like concerts.
Yeah, I'm guessing special events or something. Maybe, possibly, I'm imagining, like maybe myth anniversary stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe at least the big ones, like the 5th anniversary. Maybe not like anything after that until if they reach the 10th.
Maybe.
That's if it gets that far.
Yeah, I'm gonna be surprised if like, all of them are still around for the 10th.
I know. And then probably like the EN concerts, whatever the next one's called, because the last one was what Breaking Dimensions. Before that was Connect the World, whatever they call it, the third one. I imagine she'll have some special appearance there, potentially, I guess.
Wouldn't be surprised if she's like still working behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, that's also another thing that was mentioned, is that because Amy kind of like supported Myth's whole like back end for the first year or so. Like she dealt with all the tech stuff, and she helped a lot of them deal with like 3D elements and stuff like that. So like that's sort of something they're still going to rely on her for, but they've been very clear she's not going into like a staff role. And I think the fact she's now on another account in the process of setting up a debut to stream again as a different persona, I think that indicates that they're not just staff for cover now. They're doing their own thing, which makes the whole situation even more confusing, I think.
Oh my God.
It's not simple.
No,
it doesn't sound simple in any way.
No, it's very funny seeing the community like purely like guess what's gonna happen, and seeing some of the stuff they're saying going, what the fuck are you talking about?
It was so funny just to go into like when it was announced that she was graduating, not graduating. There was the typical sort of like outpour of like, oh no, she's gone, she's graduating, it's over.
Yeah.
But then like people were reading like the actual statement that clarified, not clarified, the whole affiliate thing, and people were like, wait, so what does this actually mean?
Yeah.
Which means bad statement.
Yeah.
No, 100%, because like in the announcement stream, which wasn't long, like 5 minutes, Amy had said, oh, Cover will be posting a statement that'll clarify things soon, and I read that and went, nope.
I don't think it will.
No, that doesn't. I'm just as confused as I was before, if not more.
Clarified she's an affiliate. What's an affiliate?
Did you just unplug and plug your headphones back in?
No, I sat on my cable.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
For what I'm taking it right now, I'm basically, for all intents and purposes, she has graduated. They're just leaving the door open.
Yeah, which has never been done before.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Was she like a favorite, like a fan favorite?
It's weird. I genuinely really think it comes down to Myth being the guinea pigs for a whole bunch of different things.
I think it's more in the fact that like she did so much to help Myth get off the ground, and Myth is like a
is Myth their generation?
Their generation, yeah. That is a weird thing where like in Japan it's generally like Gen 1, 2, and 3, whereas over here it's like they've gone for more of like a named approach. So you got Myth, what was Council, which is now Promise, because Iris was a separate thing, Project Hope. But because Sana left Council, they squashed Iris, because she was just on her own, into Council, and that became Promise. Then you've got Advent, and you've got Justice. It's confusing.
Yeah. To give a little bit of context, and hopefully not make it even more confusing, the reason Iris was so well equipped to just sort of slot into Council and then Promise was basically because she graduated as like Gen 1.5 for EN, but like she graduated like
she debuted.
Oh, graduate. I keep saying graduate.
Yeah, she's still very much around.
Sorry. Words are getting muddled.
She debuted a month before them.
Yeah.
On her own. Insane move.
Yeah. That seems
It's just
weird.
which caused everyone to go, why not just put her?
Yeah, why not?
The whole Project Hope thing was very weird because like everyone else was very much posited as VTubers, whereas Iris and Project Hope was very much V-singer, and it's like, but she's just still doing all the same shit as everyone else.
She's gaming as much as the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so was it just a case of, well, she could sing?
All of them do.
Yeah,
That's
they
part
all
of
sing
it.
Some well, some maybe not.
Most of them to a reasonable degree. Like,
Okay.
I don't think they would get hired
No,
if they didn't.
yeah,
No.
there's like a-
No.
It's just
yeah.
like because Cover are very much like particular of like you have to have previous streaming experience, and they're very particular about the talent that they hire having talent. I guess.
Yeah. And I feel like there's got to be like some sort of clause that they have to work well with the people in their
Yeah.
whatever gen they're in or whoever they're around, because like they have to, because they all work so well off each other.
It's probably what I imagine like auditioning for a film is like, is where if you get past certain stages, you'll then have chemistry tests.
Okay.
And so once they've chemistry tested everyone, they'll go, okay, these 4 or 5 or whatever, and then they'll debut eventually.
Do you think when they got CC and Gigi in a room, they were like, well, these two instantly. This is the best sibling dynamic I've ever seen.
But yeah, no, Iris's was very, very odd.
Yeah.
They seemed like it was a project that was meant to like expand as time went on, and then they just never did anything with it. And then Sana left, and then there was a year and a half went by, and then they were like, oh yeah, let's just put them together.
Yeah.
Why not just?
Because everyone sort of associated them together anyway. They were always called Council Riffs.
Yeah.
And like whenever they like collabed as like a whole gen collab, Iris was usually involved somehow.
Yeah, either as like a cameo or just a full on like part of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time they would end up putting her in the quote unquote moderator role, even though that doesn't actually functionally mean anything.
And also because Iris is a terrible moderator.
Yes.
No offense to Iris, but you know, I haven't let her moderate shit.
But yeah, the EN side of things is really like hodgepodge experimental and just winging it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, well, in Japan we have all these set expectations, in the Western side we don't really, so we can just do whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Amy did mention that like she was thinking about this and it just happened to line up with like Cover wanting to try this new approach. But it being a new approach means we as fans have no clue what that actually means. It's something we're very much going to learn as time goes on, you know. Once Crony gets... Dumb joke.
Do you think Crony's next?
No. I said as time goes on and then as
okay.
Crony gets involved.
Okay.
Bad joke.
Well, it has to be Crony because Amy's gone. That's a terrible joke.
Yeah.
So do we want to get into sort of like our histories with Myth now?
Yeah,
or?
so I think that's a place to take this, is like Myth being the first like EN side of it, like sort of discussing our experience with Hololive, but then also like how they've completely affected the English speaking side of things, because like it did exist. I mean, Iron Mouse was around before them.
Yeah, I remember Iron Mouse actually before then.
Yeah, there was also a few other independent ones, but like it wasn't until like Cover announced Hololive EN that like it blew up big style.
Like this next section of this episode is basically going to be half history lesson, half personal anecdote.
I think you've got less history.
Yeah, I have a
so
little
you can
bit, but
start.
yeah,
That's the reason I said it like that.
Okay, so my sort of history with VTubers is very much it was the pandemic and there was nothing else going on, as I'm sure it was for a lot of people.
Yes.
So there was like a big boom in like audience.
Well, Myth debuted at like the exact perfect time. They debuted in September 2020.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
They had enough time to get running a bit, and then the audience just kind of. Boom.
Yep.
And while I was never I never got into the rabbit hole until like about a year and a half ago, I was familiar with VTubers just because throughout summer of 2020, I remember occasionally I'd get a clip of, I think it was, what's her name? The first one. The first, like, VTuber, like, that you can really think of.
Kizuna?
Kizuna, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a few clips from her, basically just of her saying, fuck you.
Oh.
In a really cute way.
Fair enough.
Because, you know, that goes viral.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I'd get maybe a clip or I got a few clips from Corona, I think, because I think around that point you were sending them to me.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. I remember Ikonbokum. So that was fun, but I never really got into it. Then, by the time Myth debuted, I was sort of in the sense of I refuse to be part of this. I'm not becoming this. I have a better standard than this. I did not.
It took you like a month and a half.
No, it took
him like 2 years.
It took me like 3 years.
I mean,
yeah,
at some point, I think you were sending him so many things.
I actually refrained.
Wow.
Yeah, no,
I mean, near the start. Myth,
but as time went on, I refrained from.
Yeah, you held back.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
Not anymore.
He sends more than I do at this point.
Yeah, I'm worse than him now. So yeah, I was barely aware of Myth, because I remember when they debuted, because you were actually posting about them. Like you're the first person that showed me like their designs and stuff, and like some of their deep.
Because I was there, man.
Yeah, you were there, man.
There, man.
But like, it's funny because it's one of the Myth like members that would be the one to pull me into the rabbit hole, but it wasn't quite there yet. Or maybe you were sending the wrong one, because you were sending Ame clips around.
Yeah, because Ame was the one that got me into it at first. Well, I'll get to that.
If you just pivoted to the shark clips, I maybe would have been there a lot longer. But yeah, I was sort of aware of that, and then basically throughout the next 3 years, you would occasionally send a clip to me, and like I'd find them entertaining, but nothing was gripping yet. It wasn't until, for some reason, early 2023, I'm not sure exactly why, but there was this one, I can specifically pinpoint which clip it was that got me. Okay. It was this one Gura clip. It's the short little animation where they're playing Among Us, I think, and like she's just reacting to like their conversation, because I think she's dead at this point. She's going, are you seeing this fibbery? They're controlling the conversation exactly. Brain 2 and then she just like hits her elbow, and that made me lose it for some reason.
Oh my god.
So then I watched more, and then you know what happened.
Yeah, it was.
I got in the rabbit hole.
A quick spiral down.
It just sort of happened.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's is a bit of a longer one in that I'd sort of been aware of VTubers since whenever Kizuna debuted, because for me it was like a technological interest as well. So it was less around at the time with Kizuna, because I didn't understand Japanese. It was less about like that than it was about like, well, how did they do this?
Yeah, I mean that was one of my original thoughts when I first saw Kizuna.
Yeah, so like understanding like the Live 2D and the VTube studio. I don't know if that was what they were using at the time. I don't know if that was around or if that was a byproduct of that. I don't know. And then I blinked and everything sort of, the whole industry happened.
Yeah, everything accelerated.
Yeah, in Japan things went absolutely crazy. I didn't realize how many members there were at one point. But I kept like watching like Korone and Okayu clips, because those are still my two favorite Japanese members. I still find them very funny. But like, because they're Japanese and I don't speak Japanese, and especially back then I did not understand it. I still don't understand it like well now, but I can sometimes make do. But the rate they speak at and stuff, and you know, never in a million years. So I had to rely on like translated clips, and
especially when it's elite Japanese.
Yes, fucking Mio, man.
She can't speak.
She can't fucking speak Japanese half the time either. But because they like, you're relying on like translated clips, no one's translating a full stream. No. And that's kind of counter to covers guidelines too. Like that's full on just that's not transformative.
No.
So yeah, I couldn't get into it and none of the, no offense to Iron Mouse, because I do really like Iron Mouse now, but no one at the time in the English side really was that interesting to me. And then Myth debuted, and that was it.
They had down in the rabbit hole.
Yep.
They had the dynamic.
I watched everyone's debut, and at the time, counter to what anyone who knows me thinks now, where I gravitate towards Callie,
the Ame era for you feels weird to me.
Yeah, it was because Callie was too cringe for me at the start. I related a little too hard to all of her weird cringiness, and I wasn't ready for that. And it's the whole thing I have about, like, or when we talk about, like, generation debuts, is this, like, you gotta wait a year. And it kind of comes from seeing Myth grow.
Yeah.
And how weird their dynamics were at the start and where they were a year later.
I will say that particular rule for me, I think I've shortened it down to more like maybe wait a few months, because Advent and Justice have clicked really fast.
I think you can apply the not Murphy's Law. What was it?
Poe's Law?
The law of computing.
Oh.
Where every 2 years, the amount of capacitors or semiconductors within a given chip doubles.
Okay, yeah.
The inverse of that is the time it takes for a VTuber to, like, fully develop into their personality, because I think just as the pool of talent expands, you have more people for them to feel comfortable around, and that way they become more comfortable on screen and have their presence be seen. Whereas Myth debuted in a vacuum. They only had each other, and they had the eyes of a lot of the world on them. That's intense.
I mean, it didn't help that Gura immediately became the most popular and subscribed VTuber ever within the span of what?
A month, two or 3 months, I think.
That's fucking insane.
I'll have to find, like, the graph clip where, like, someone showed, like, a time lapse of, like, all the different HoloLive members on, like, the YouTube subscription like graph measurer, and, like, everyone steadily moves along, and then it suddenly hits a point where Guru just appears and just But yeah, it was weird because at debut, I definitely gravitated more towards Ame, and then I didn't really watch her much.
British accent and all.
She didn't do the British accent much. But yeah, it was weird. I by the end, I wasn't watching her all too much. Speaking about her like she's fucking dead.
Well, she's dead in terms of talent.
Yeah. And at some point, like, something flipped a switch in me, and I became obsessed with Callie.
Oh, you're fine now.
Yeah. So it's weird, having been there from the start and then her leaving. That's strange. That's such a condensed, like, period of time too.
Yeah, it's only been for like 4 years. Which is a lot in VTuber time. But
VTubers are like hamsters. You only get like 2 or 3 years out of them.
And they die in the worst ways possible.
Yeah, pretty much.
It depends on their lore.
I mean, you've been present for all the conversations on this podcast of, like, all the shit that happens with graduations and terminations.
It is giving hamster death.
It is, like, I wish I could claim that analogy as my own, but I saw that on Twitter somewhere.
But yeah, like, the typical lifespan of a VTuber is usually like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And a persona, like, at least.
If they're corp, for sure.
Yeah, if they're corp.
If they're independent, who knows? I mean, Iron Mouse has been going for 6 years, I think, independently.
I see Doki sticking around for a while.
Yeah, I think anyone who does it independently, like, because they can control their own career, like, it doesn't matter what they're doing with that character, they'll find something creatively fulfilling to do with it.
And especially if it's an independent coming off, like, a corp, like, just to go into... To not derail this from HoloLive too much, to go into Idol for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not... Did the news happen last time we did one of these?
That's a good question. I don't think it had happened because we talked about Justice's debut, and I think this happened after that.
Okay, so in the meantime between then, Idol Corp, the corp that has like Ren Penrose, which is the only talent I was watching from them, not gonna lie.
Yeah, fair.
Announced that they'd basically been bought out by, was it Brave Group?
The Brave Group, who run a internet browser. I want to clarify that. A weird move.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, a move that I wasn't too shocked by because it seemed like things were a bit behind the scenes at Idol.
Yeah.
There was merch sales and stuff that just weren't going through and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Even Ren was talking about like, hey, this shit is fucked, so I'm just saying this like right now for transparency's sake. But like, anyway, they got bought out, and when they were getting bought out, they basically gave their talents, is ultimatum the right word?
A get out clause.
A get out clause, basically, saying that you can graduate now. We will give you the rights to your IP and the identity, basically, and all, like the channel and all that. That can all be yours if you leave now, or you can stay with us onwards. Ren, who has stated that she was kind of thinking about graduating anyway, at that point decided, oh, that's a sweet deal. I'm taking that.
I mean, it sounds like it.
Yeah. It made sense. Like, hearing her say that she had been thinking about graduating made a lot of sense because there was just so much shit happening around that time. One with Idol basically starting to light itself on fire. But also, like, she kept having, like, PC problems and stuff, and I'm like, Idol aren't doing anything to help with that.
Yeah, they really
You'd
weren't.
think.
But there just seemed to be no,
Great
communication. And I think at that point she was basically collabing with anyone else in Idol for a while. I think anyway.
Yeah, I don't know the last time I'd seen her collab with anyone in Idol.
So now she's basically officially graduating, I think at some point in November?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it had already happened because I knew it would be like a sort of unseen transition in a sense, like, because she's not gonna leave and come back. She's just gonna continue on, but not with the Idol name. And I hadn't been following it too closely. I was like, oh, that's cool. Anyway,
I'm saying November because she's got a thing on like her streams where she has like this made up like Brexit paper of get ready for Ren's Ren exit or whatever, and I think it said November at some point.
That makes sense.
Anyway, so now she's leaving, but she's staying on as herself. Which that's pretty unprecedented.
Yeah. I mean, we've never really had a buyout like that happen before.
True.
So that's, I think, the interesting part of that. I know that Suisei, that's her character prior to Hololive, and she had to like fight
to keep
Suisei and like be Suisei, and she's one of the more popular Japanese
I didn't even know that.
ones now. I feel like for a long time she was very underutilized, or I don't think Cover knew what they had with her, and now she's like one of their juggernaut Japanese talents.
Like she's one of the faces I'll instantly recognize from the JP side, because I don't go since I don't understand Japanese. I'm not that big in the JP side of like Hollow at all.
I mean, her and
some like faces, but
her and Callie are the only ones to hit the charts. Like literally, I mean, like both of them have hit the charts in Japan and America.
Because it's like, is the Japanese VTuber site like equally as big, like view wise? Because smaller demographic.
I would say if we're talking relatively speaking, yes. Number wise, no, but that's just because the population of Japan. But I would say in like a relative sense, probably, I mean, one of the newer talents, Raiden's YouTube short went so viral that they were doing a dance on the news of hers. So that's sort of like how big it is in Japan. Not that that's happened here. I would actually kill myself if I seen anyone on the news doing anything VTuber related.
Yeah, and then you'd have the whole, thing where people are like, anime girl boobs, they're a bunch of
sexualizing children.
I mean, I know Callie's been on a Japanese talk show too at some point, which is funny to me because she does not have any confidence in her Japanese.
I actually remember that too.
So I'd
Gura
say
was at a
it's-
Dodgers game.
Yes, that was another thing. There was
That
the big
happened.
HoloLive collab with the Dodgers, where they had. So I think the Dodgers always have like a theme night, and Cover sponsored it, and so it became HoloLive.
I mean, partially because like baseball's huge in Japan.
Baseball's huge in Japan.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
I mean Shohei Ohtani. For the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He's Japanese. I mean, like a lot of the baseball players, I think, end up coming from Japan and playing in American teams. It's a big thing.
That's neat.
So yeah, there was a HoloLive night where a bunch of people who don't normally watch baseball all went cosplaying as VTubers to the Dodger
A
Stadium,
baseball
What's
game.
happening?
and they had big drone displays of like the characters like Gura and stuff like that, and there was a sing along from Gura of like
she appeared.
what was the song? It's a big famous baseball song.
Take me out to the ball game.
That's
Oh,
it. Yeah.
She sang that
Wow.
on the huge like
The
screen
Jumbotron.
on like the stadium, to which I'm sure a bunch of 50-year-old like baseball fans were like, "What the fuck?"
The
is this?
surprising thing was the amount of like non-HoloLive fans that were there that night went onto the HoloLive subreddit like, thank you for making this such a great night. And I was like, that's so fucking heartwarming.
I
Yeah.
think it's just if you don't take it too seriously, maybe,
Yeah.
where they're like, we know what we are, we're gonna have fun with
Yeah.
it. If you have, I don't know what other collabs Dodgers have done, but I can see some just being like, this is our merch. and
Yeah.
This is, what we do.
Whereas
Here's a
whole
celebrity.
Cover made it an event.
Yeah. I will say I do remember also hearing some stories of like, just to go off of the Dodgers stuff. I heard like some people from the demographic of people who wouldn't know VTubers stuff being like, I don't really know what this was, but my kids absolutely loved it. So thanks for that. Which that's wholesome as hell.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
So
imagine.
sweet.
I'm trying to imagine the same thing happening like a football game over here, and I feel like most of the fans would just cause a riot.
Oh yeah, no, that would not happen at a football, like a British
Yeah.
football game.
It'd be funny. It'd be funny.
It'd
but
be so
it,
funny.
It would be funny, but the abuse that would come after
Oh.
it, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
They'd probably get death threats.
They can't handle
Slurs.
England losing in a final, let alone fucking anime girls at their event. Christ.
Would it be
I mean,
really funny?
What if all the anime girls are on their side? I feel like they'd be
That
like, yeah,
would not make a difference.
You'd get so
They
many,
attack their own teammates.
that's
You'd
true.
get grifters saying it's them fucking
Yeah.
woke people trying to put their weak stuff in here.
Mhm.
It's the stupid shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, same old.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
Myth had a huge fucking impact. I
Yes,
think is the baseline of
100%.
what we're trying to get
Yeah.
across here.
so I think to go back to your question, actually, now that we've just had this conversation, relatively speaking, I actually think they're bigger in Japan. If they're on news shows, talk
yeah,
shows,
Yeah.
there's more actual like brand collaboration over there, but I don't know how much of that's just down to the fact they're more embedded in now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like even over here, it's a very Japanese thing.
Yeah, it's very niche still over here,
Yeah.
even though like numbers wise, like they do pretty well. But I think we got to remember just the YouTube that we're in now is not the YouTube that we were in a decade ago, where 2 million
yeah.
subscribers was a lot.
Yeah. Nowadays it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
When someone popular doesn't have 1 million, you're like, ooh, I found them before they get popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so sad to think about.
I know.
Like, you see someone with like 800,000, you're like, oh, you're so small.
I swear I had, just to go into this topic real quick. I swear I had like a whole shock moment like that where I talked to like my younger sister and like she had no idea who Smosh was like at all.
Wow.
Just flat out did not know who they were.
damn.
And she's usually on TikTok and stuff, but I was like, how can you not know they were the most subscribed YouTube channel? They had 1 million when it was relevant, and she was like, okay,
Were
that doesn't
they-
really mean anything
Yeah,
to
were
me.
they the first to hit 1 million?
They were one of.
They were one of.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were the first. That might have been Fred. But I know they were one of the first. And like,
Yeah.
back then that meant something.
Oh,
but now it's
yeah.
like it's just paltry numbers.
Yeah.
That just means you've been noticed.
Exactly.
That's crazy. That's
That's
slightly
crazy.
demotivating, actually.
I know, right?
We love being here.
We do. Yeah, 100%. Don't do it. Just do it for the views. But damn,
We'd like
the
The views are great.
I would like more subscribers. A lot of people are watching. It's not translating though.
Are we gonna be one of those YouTubers that pull up like the analytics?
No,
like,
fuck no.
All these people who watch but don't actually subscribe.
I just can't help but point out the fact that like our numbers go up, but our subscriber count doesn't.
It is really funny.
It is.
You're interesting. I do not want to hear from you.
I don't want you guys weekly, but once in a while.
It is crazy to see like a video like the Godzilla one just
absolutely
go crazy, and then you're like, but no one subscribed. What the fuck?
What does that mean?
Yeah, like,
Dude, what do you want, more Godzilla?
you can't really take it personally, but at the same time, you're like,
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, VTube numbers definitely a more ingrained thing in Japan.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think, let's say just anime girls.
Yes.
More ingrained.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because here you have the curve of, but it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, that is the mainstream curve you have to get over
And
first.
brand collabs are
Yeah, no.
so much more of a bigger thing in Japan. Like,
Yeah.
And I think even down to some designs, like you're gonna see like a model design like Gura, and people who aren't like in the anime scene are gonna think that's for kids.
yes, yeah.
To the point where I remember when she like first debuted, there were weird articles about like how they're sexualizing the kids and stuff because Gura made like those kind of jokes or whatever occasionally, because you know she's a person on the internet
And an adult.
yeah.
It's a constant source of discourse on like the VTuber side of stuff, is like younger design models and whether they're lolly content or not. And it's like, okay, well then you need to actually watch them and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Are they sexualizing themselves? Because if they are, then that is lolly content.
Yeah.
If they're not, they just maybe happen to really like that design, and that's fair enough. A couple of sexual jokes is not sexualizing oneself. That's you know, yeah, it's a constant thing I see all the time, and I just don't care to dive into it.
No, fair.
I've seen it a million times before.
Yeah, I see it and I'm like, yeah, I'm moving on.
Yeah. Because that's just a whole conversation.
Oh yeah,
We've had that many a times.
Yeah,
where we're
yeah.
like, she's 16 and they draw her like that.
yeah.
Where it's like, it's such a cultural thing that I think we're so far distant from. Where I'm like, I don't think I can have a say on something that's so far out of my own Western point of view.
And I also have to wonder sometimes how like conscious a decision the age even is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, that's just like such a common setting. I don't think they're actually thinking about the age in question. I think they're just drawing a cool design and then fitting that into whatever situation they want it to have. Because when you read a lot of these, I probably sound like I'm defending it, but I'm not really. It's just that when you read a lot of these sort of things, or like when you just see how prevalent it is across all different genres of manga, anime, whatever, you kind of realize that at some point it's like that's just such a common place to put characters that like the age actually doesn't matter. Like no one there, I don't think the writer is intentionally thinking most of the time about their age.
Yeah.
It's only like through coming of age stories or like stories where it's actually relevant that you're like, okay, there was some consideration put into this. And so if there's a sexualized character, you have to think of the intent behind that.
Yeah.
Whereas most other characters is like, I don't think they gave a shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, VTube Sphere is weird.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. It feels like one step further than just Weeb to me. I don't know why.
It's almost like a whole fan base unto itself.
Yeah,
It really is.
Yeah, because it is, you know, a fully separated thing from being a fan of anime, being a fan of YouTube. You can be one or the other.
Yeah.
Is it more common that they're together? I feel like
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Venn diagram is you know
yeah.
insane, but like there's definitely like, you know, people who watch anime who won't watch VTubers, and there's VTubers who go, what the fuck is anime?
Yeah.
The
like,
fuck is an Evangelion?
the fuck is an Akura? I mean, I feel like I can sort of talk about that a little bit because I'm still not as big a weep as like people really in the whole, or like even like to your extent, I'd say.
I'm in the hole.
I give you the privilege of not associating you with people really in the hole.
Yeah.
There are people really in the fucking hole.
Oh yeah.
But I've still, I mean, I like anime now, even in like the last few years, but like I'm still feel sort of separate. But I love VTubers and like that whole sphere.
You still have like most of what I've given you to watch.
Yeah. Trust me, it eats me up inside that I haven't gone on to any of it yet. I'm so sorry. But, yeah, but like I am fully into like the VTube sphere at this point, but I can recognize the Venn diagram as like basically a circle in a lot of cases.
I wouldn't say it's quite that, but like definitely a semicircle.
Yeah. Like a crescent moon.
Yeah. There's a full circle in the middle, but it's just crescents on the other side.
Because like, and there's like a lot of VTubers I watch that like definitely you can tell they like anime.
Yeah.
Because like they'll make references and stuff and like memes or whatever, but like I can still very much enjoy them without getting any of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I'm there for like mainly the personality and like the dynamics and stuff.
Yeah.
There's just, and to me they're basically internet personalities who stream that just have an extra flair in the model and stuff and like the lore.
Yeah.
That I like.
I mean, because even on like the anime side of things, like yeah, I'm a huge anime fan, but like just thinking on like the semi-podcast thing that Callie, Iris, and Bay did for a while that's just died.
Rip Chadcast.
Yeah. Sadly never continued after like 15 episodes. But anyway, there was a whole episode where they started talking about anime, but it was like anime so far out the realm of the stuff that I watched, I was like, I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Waves from a different direction.
Yeah.
Like, because Callie started it, and like there was some stuff that like, yeah, okay, Gurren Lagann, that's a big favourite of mine, it's also her favourite, but like other stuff as well. I think we're both big Studio Trigger fans in general, and other things that she likes I also know of and enjoy, and then it's like they started talking about everything else, and I was like, what? Mainly it comes down to like teenage romance, I guess, and shoujo kind of centered content.
Yeah,
which is, I don't really care about demographics, but there is certainly an appeal factor of it, you know, to women more so than guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was definitely things I was like, no idea.
You're just naturally not gonna get that.
Yeah.
You never gravitated towards it.
Exactly.
There's no doubt.
Anyway,
I'm having like PTSD flashbacks of like Iris talking about like BL stuff now.
Oh. Yeah. It's also a fairly common thing.
We'll explain what that means off the podcast.
I don't think it's that difficult to figure out. Romance, BL, queer.
Yeah, there you go.
Very big in Japan.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Anyway, I think we've sort of discussed most of what we can kind of cover, or like anything interesting.
It's been a nice
worth
catch up.
Yeah, not like a super long episode, nothing short either though. Just, you know, here's what's happening, some anecdotes.
It was nice to like. The last thing I want to get in is basically it was nice to see like the last sort of myth collabs and stuff, and like all the stuff that went into the build up to Ames, not graduation.
Yeah.
Because we actually like we fucking stayed up. Both of us stayed up late to watch that last myth collab.
My sleep schedule has still not recovered.
Mine was fucked even before that.
Mine's had
nothing.
Been on the mend, and then her final stream got pushed back, and I didn't watch it, but that didn't do any favors for my sleep schedule.
It was originally going to be like what, midnight, half
1 a.m. for us, and then it got pushed back to 2. Then it got pushed back to 2:30.
By the time
was it worth it?
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, we were gonna stay up, but then by the time it got pushed back to 2:30, I was like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, no, like it was tapping out at that point, because I think it eventually got pushed back another half hour, and I was like, no way, no fucking way.
No.
We got the last myth collab.
Yes, that was a big important one for me, is seeing the final myth collab. I'm glad I did.
They walked around like their old Minecraft server that they used to like go on all the time.
Yeah.
Reminisce.
So sweet.
Because it's a server you also don't see anymore, because they ended up compacting everyone into one server, like from all the different branches, which is a cool idea, but at the same time, no one's really playing Minecraft now.
No.
I think directly because they've had to leave behind other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
killed it right there and then, huh?
yeah, pretty much.
Except for Fauna, she still does Minecraft Mondays
She
occasionally.
does.
And she's still trying to build the biggest fucking tree I've ever seen in Minecraft.
Wow.
It's still going, I think.
She's got to bring those tree facts.
And if it ever gets set on fire, she will burn everything down in rage.
Yes. Wouldn't blame her. It's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like 2+ years at this point.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
So,
been a long time.
That's what we mean by big fucking tree.
Yeah, no, that must be a big boy.
Yes. Biblically accurate.
Wow.
It's a sight to behold.
Anyway, before we go on any other
Oh.
random tangents, thank you for listening to this episode of Anime Lane. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.